Guy, I know him. I was like, and I thought he had a great speech the other day. You know, I was one of the few people, I think the only one, he asked me to make an ad for him for his campaign.
My name is Donald Trump, and I'm a big fan of Israel. And frankly, a strong prime minister is a strong Israel. And you truly have a great prime minister. In Benjamin Netanyahu, there's nobody like him. He's a winner. He's highly respected. He's highly thought of by all. And people really do have...
Donald's great-grandparents, Christian Johannes Trumpf and Katharina Kober, had sons, Christian Frederick Trumpf and John G. Trump. Donald's great-grandmother, Katharina Kober, was of Jewish descent. The surname Kober is German and Ashkenazic Jew, a name derived from the personal name Jacob or Yaakov. Donald's grandparents lived in the Karlstadt, Pfalz Rhineland area where they lived in Germany, comprised of Jewish communities from Mainz, Speyer and Worms. Germany became the center of Jewish life during medieval times. Donald Trump's daughter Ivanka and his two grandchildren are Jewish. Ivanka Trump converted to Judaism before marrying Jared Kushner, the son of New York Jewish real estate mogul Charles Kushner. She studied for her Orthodox conversion with Rabbi Haskell Lookstein of Manhattan's Teilat Jeshurun Synagogue, and the same Rabbi Lookstein officiated her wedding. Trump and Kushner are members of Lookstein's Orthodox Synagogue and are Shabbat observant.
All the attention placed on the NSA's mass surveillance of American citizens, it's easy to forget the other countries that are taking a page out of the agency's spy book. Just this past weekend, it was revealed that in 2008, Australia's surveillance agency shared information about the country's citizens with its most trusted intelligence partners. Perhaps the most concerning part of this recently leaked Snowden document was the discussion between these allies over whether or not to share the medical, legal, and religious information of Australian citizens. But this story is just a microcosm of the larger international spying cabal working together to peer into every nook and cranny of the world. So who exactly are these peeping partners? Well, they call themselves the Five Eyes, a partnership made up of intelligence agencies in 5 English-speaking countries: the US, the UK, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. And just like the Eye of Sauron, eyes see all, which is an especially appropriate analogy since The Lord of the Rings was filmed in New Zealand. But I digress. You see, the Five Eyes Agreement has been around since the end of World War II, but it was so secret that the program wasn't even disclosed to the public until 2005. On the surface, this treaty is just a friendly agreement between allied nations that it's essential to stopping global terrorism. But thanks to the Snowden leaks, we now know just what an asinine agreement it's actually being used for: industrial espionage and circumventing those pesky laws that prohibit warrantless surveillance of a country's own citizens. In theory, these nations are not allowed to spy on each other's people, but we all know rules are meant to be broken. In 2007, the NSA analyzed and retained any British citizen's mobile phone number, email, and IP address swept up in its enormous dragnet. Another memo dated from 2005 shows that the NSA was working on a procedure to spy on the other 4 countries. And while one sentence in the memo states that the US and UK will not explicitly target each other, the very next sentence says governments reserve the right to spy on each other's citizens when it's in the best interest of each nation. Well, that's not open to interpretation at all. Look, I think it's clear at this point that the myth of the American empire exporting freedom and democracy really means exporting surveillance and subjugation. Guys, there's a lot going on in the world, a lot that you might disagree with. As much as we protest and complain to our elected representatives, it doesn't seem to shape the actual legislation put into action. Foreign policy is supposed to be drafted between the president and Congress, but that would be too easy, it'd be too democratic. So instead, legislation is now outsourced. Policy prescriptions are made by think tanks and NGOs like the Council on Foreign Relations, the Atlantic Council, and the Trilateral Commission. The idea of having academics researching world issues, pairing with world journalists to help keep our elected officials informed sounds like a good idea, right? Sure. But what happens when the policy recommendations are being made by the councils and think tanks whose board members are the CEOs of some of the biggest corporations in the world? Is it a conflict of interest that many of these councils are run by executives from almost every major industry, from food to media, and most shockingly, national defense? Let's take a look at just some of the few. Council on Foreign Relations. Their mission statement is in part sponsoring independent task forces that produce reports with both findings and policy prescriptions on the most important foreign policy topics. The question I ask is, what sort of policy prescriptions can we expect from a board of directors that includes Madeleine Albright and Colin Powell, both of whom served as U.S. Secretary of State, and Tom Brokaw and Fareed Zakaria, both two well-known establishment journalists? So, these folks aren't even in government anymore, yet they sit on the board of one of the most influential think tanks in the world. Now, if you doubt the CFR's influence, just take a listen of a clip of Hillary Clinton's first visit as Secretary of State to the CFR headquarters right here in Washington, D.C.
We get a lot of advice from the council, so this will mean I won't have as far to go to be told what we should be doing and how we should think about the future.
What we should be doing and how we should think about the future? Gee, Hillary, you're really letting the cat out of the bag there. Now, you may be wondering why you don't hear about these groups' influence from the corporate media. As I mentioned before, extremely powerful and influential media moguls sit on these boards. They are part of the establishment, and the CFR is only one of these groups. What about the Atlantic Council? According to the Atlantic Council's website, part of their focus is on drafting roadmaps for U.S. policy toward the Balkans, Cuba, Iraq, Iran, and Libya. Now, this is especially interesting because membership of the Atlantic Council includes some of the top defense corporations in the country: Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, and Raytheon. So why are the top defense corporations in the world advising our lawmakers on foreign policy? As we know, the revolving door between government and corporations never stops spinning.
Hey. Thank you so much, everybody. Please have a seat. Have a seat. For generations, presidents have faithfully executed two great American traditions: issuing a proclamation that sets aside a Thursday in November for us to express gratitude, and granting pardons that reflect our beliefs in second chances. And this week, we do both. Of course, Thanksgiving is a family holiday as much as a national one. So for the past 7 years, I've established another tradition: embarrassing my daughters with a cornucopia of dad jokes about turkeys. This year, they had a scheduling conflict. Actually, they just couldn't take my jokes anymore. They were fed up. Fortunately, I have by my side here today two of my nephews, Austin and Aaron Robinson, who, unlike Malia and Sasha, have not yet been turned cynical by Washington. They still believe in bad puns. They still appreciate the grandeur of this occasion. They still have hope. Malia and Sasha, by the way, are thankful that this is my final presidential turkey pardon. What I haven't told them yet is that we are going to do this every year from now on. No cameras, just us, every year. No way I'm cutting this habit cold turkey. Good one. That was pretty funny. Thanksgiving is a chance.
Outcome will be peace upon peace.
Nobody would be tougher on ISIS than Donald Trump. I would bomb the hell out of them.
Stated
He's
in
still
TheAtlantic.com that Donald Trump has personality traits of narcissism, disagreeableness, and grandiosity. His personality traits seem undesirable. In many respects, it is a safeguard from the tyranny of the establishment and the men in the shadows. If you look at those removed from power, like Saddam Hussein, Muammar Gaddafi, as well as leaders whom the US wants to remove, like Assad and Putin, they all have one thing in common. They are independent thinkers, not willing to be a sock puppet for globalists, unlike Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump would be more likely to do things his own way rather than heed the counsel of advisors of think tank groups and the Jesuit order. Obama was surrounded by Jesuit-trained advisors because he, like Bush, Clinton, and so many other presidents, are not the real power behind the political throne. However, Trump, like Kennedy, is reliant on the Secret Service to protect him, aircraft mechanics to make sure his plane does not crash, and master chefs to make sure his food is not tainted. Trump will have to make concessions or risk being assassinated.
Involved with Putin, for I have nothing to do with Putin. I've never spoken to him. I don't know anything about him other than he will respect me. I don't think Putin has any respect whatsoever for Clinton. I think he does respect me. And I hope I get along great with him. It's possible that we won't, Jeremy. I hope that we get along great with Putin. because it would be great to have Russia with a good relationship. Right now, we don't have a good relationship.
The purpose of that infiltration was what for?
Well, the purpose is what the Roman Catholic system has all the time as her own purpose, is to infiltrate, to penetrate all the areas of life where the Roman Catholic can have control and access for the coming world government. What that means is, in preparation for that world government, the Roman Catholic institution, especially since the establishment of the Jesuit order in 1541, throughout all these 500 years, they've been in preparation and through infiltration and penetration of every level of society in order to take over the world politically and religiously. There are two doctrines that define very well these dangerous goal of the Roman Catholic institution. Two doctrines define this very well. One is called the doctrine of the apostolic succession, and that is dealing with the papacy. And the other is the doctrine, the temporal power, and that is dealing with world government.
The founders of the CIA, which replaced the OSS, Office of Strategic Services, were Alan Dulles, a Knight of Malta, Harry Truman, a Freemason, and William J. Donovan, who was also a Knight of Malta. Every director of the CIA has had some connection to the Jesuit order, through either a secret society, a Jesuit priest, or a Jesuit education. The CIA vet potential US presidents, often grooming candidates or sabotaging them, like the Trump hot mic incident. Here it was apparent that Billy Bush egged Trump on while recording him. Billy Bush is a member of the Bush dynasty. The Bush family are deeply involved with the CIA, the Vatican, and Skull and Bones, a secret society that makes their initiates carry out immoral acts or confess sordid details of their lives. These initiates can then be controlled or blackmailed if they start to think independently outside the order. The Parliament of the United Kingdom is controlled in a similar way. Both the House of Lords and the House of Commons are mostly controlled by MI5 or MI6 through blackmailing or destroying individuals with recordings, such as videotapes of politicians engaging in bad behaviour, such as soliciting prostitutes and even pedophilia parties. That is the secret of how politicians are controlled or destroyed by intelligence agencies. Since 9/11, the only director of the CIA who has not been Jesuit trained was Michael Morrell, who is a member of Skull and Bones, a society controlled by the Jesuit order. James Clapper, staunch Roman Catholic, is Director of National Intelligence.
Thank you so much. I want to thank my Jewish daughter. I have a Jewish daughter.
It all started with Trump's father, whose apparent ties with New Jersey real estate mogul Murray Kushner got the business going. Donald's daughter is now married to Jared Kushner and turned Jewish to get him.
So the Iranian deal is one of the worst contracts I've ever seen of any kind. Nothing to do with countries or anything. It's the most incompetently drawn document I think I've ever seen. You know, there's a couple of clauses. First of all, the 24 days everyone knows, but that doesn't even start, you know, the inspection period. That doesn't even start. The clock could keep it much longer than 24 days. These guys could clean up and you wouldn't know a damn thing, despite what they tell you. But there's so many elements. But one of the elements, when Tim mentions Israel, there's sort of a clause in there that nobody's really understanding, that if Iran gets attacked, we have to help them. Now you say, what if Israel attacks them? Are we supposed to be fighting Israel? This is the most incompetent agreement that anybody has ever seen.
We will protect Israel totally.
We love Israel. We will fight for Israel 100%, 1,000%. It will be there forever. Thank you.
With skyscrapers in his high-rising mind, young Donald set his sights on Manhattan, where Jewish sharks can send you packing. So he hired the well-connected and mobbed-up Roy Cohn, a notorious Jewish homosexual, as legal counsel. Trump's all in now, since all those connections Cohn brought in keep the ante high. You don't become a Manhattan real estate mogul without seeding the kosher pot. Donald's Hen now includes Alan Weisselberg as CFO and Michael Cohen as legal boss. No lightweights here when dealing with the sharks. Trump knows how Hightown works.
I think Schumer, who I'm very close to Israel, but Schumer comes from New York, very close. I have a great relationship, far better than our president has, that I can tell you, but who doesn't? I think Schumer did it with a wink. Not a bad guy, smart guy. Used to be a friend of mine until I did this, and I said, look, all bets are off. Look, I got to do what I have to do. I'm sorry. But I'll be able to get along with these people. You know, you got to be able to get along. You got to make deals. We can't always sign executive orders. The country wasn't based on executive orders. I mean, you got to get deals. So I pretty much believe, I mean, I really know the New York scene. I think they gave Schumer a little wave off. They said, look, you go ahead, oppose it, and this way you're friendly, and he has a large Jewish constituency, to put it mildly, the largest.
To put it very mildly, if Trump becomes pres, there's going to be lots of Jewish IOUs called in. You gotta make those deals. Take Carl Icahn, who bailed Trump out of his Taj Mahal bankruptcy. Hi, Donald. Carl Icahn here. Happy Passover, Carl. What can I do for you? Since it's Passover, I'm releasing you from that added loan. And by the way, I'm in a deal that involves Israel and need your help. Name it, Carl, and I'll get it done.
What do you think of the president's attitude towards Israel? Is he a friend of Israel?
No, I think he's one of the worst things that's ever happened to Israel. You look at what's going on, and I know Bibi very well. In fact, he asked me if I do a commercial for him. I think I'm the only so-called celebrity that did a commercial for him. And, you know, and it was a nice commercial and everything else, and I hope he's going to do great, and I think he's going to do great. But when you think about it, and I have so many friends of mine that contributed to the Obama campaign, I said that because they're so pro-Israel, I said, how can you contribute to the campaign? This guy is the worst thing that ever happened to Israel.
If Obama giving Israel $3 billion a year is the worst thing that ever happened to Israel, then imagine what Trump will do.
Position that makes him an advisor to the president and generally
Donald
an overseer
Trump's
of
mentor
all
was Roy
intelligence
Cohn.
agencies.
Roy
The
Cohn was the
Vatican
lawyer
now
for the
controls
top mafia
intelligence
families
agencies,
of New
which
York
gives the
and
Jesuits
Canada.
a carte
Roy Cohn
blanche
was a
to
closet
carry
Jew
out
and
operations not
homosexual
only in
partner
secret,
and friend
but
of
at the
FBI
expense of the
Director
everyday
J.
American
Edgar
taxpayer.
Hoover. Roy Cohn ran the
An
little boys'
astonishing
white male
admission
sex
by the
ring for
Roman
the
Catholic
CIA.
Church.
Felix
They
Satter,
run the
whose father was a
CIA.
reputed
Did you
Russian
know the
organized
CIA
crime
is
boss?
also dubbed
Felix Satter
Catholic
is the top
Intelligence
Bayrock
Agency?
executive in the Bayrock
Catholics
Group.
in Action.
Bayrock Group
Is the
LLC
CIA
was a real estate
truly
development
American?
firm that
For
partnered with
decades,
Trump on
Jesuit
numerous
affiliates of the
projects
Roman
after
Catholic
renting
Church
office
have
space from
directed the
Trump
CIA.
organization.
Leon
Trump's
Panetta
close
and
friend
John
Roger
Brennan,
Stone
the
worked
current
with Roy
director,
Cohn.
are
Roger
Jesuit
Stone
trained.
and his
Are
wife were
Jesuits
notorious for
today
their
the
swinging
same as
ads.
Jesuits of the
Roger Stone
past?
defended his
Are you
friend Roy
familiar
Cohn,
with the Jesuit
saying he was
oath?
not a gay
Its
man,
devious
but a
plans
man
to
who liked
control
sex
the
with
wealth
men.
of the nation,
One,
enslave the
Trump's
masses,
use
and
of
depopulate
cocaine.
the world.
Completely
Pope
bogus.
Francis is a
Did I ever
Jesuit.
attend
Should we
parties
be
where
alarmed
Donald
that
Trump
the institution
used
the Pope
cocaine?
heads also
Donald Trump
controls
has
the
never used drugs in
CIA?
his life.
The CIA's
Lastly,
mission is
she
to
wanted to
identify
know,
and
what
destroy
about the
terrorists and
reports Donald
fundamentalists.
Trump is
Pope Francis likewise, and defines them as those who believe in absolute truth, end-time prophecies of Daniel and the Revelation, refuse to yield their liberty of conscience, and give up constitutional rights. The insidious agenda of the Jesuits will soon be realized, as Pope Francis has been hailed Lord of the world and Savior of the earth.
What does CIA stand for?
The Central Intelligence Agency.
That is correct. That is what the CIA stands for. Now, do you know what the primary job of the CIA is?
I think their primary job would be similar to the police force, but more the central, the head of law enforcement.
Now, Marianne, what is the primary job of the CIA?
I believe it has to do with foreign intelligence.
The CIA is the foreign spying agency for America.
Buildings in New York. That is also correct. Now, they collect, analyze, evaluate, and disseminate foreign intelligence in order to help make decisions decisions that relate to national security. So you're right.
Took over. So Jerome, can you guess what religious group has predominantly run the CIA?
I would assume Christians or Catholics.
Now, can you guess what religious group has predominantly run the CIA?
Buildings in New York and around the world, you have to be involved in that system. I knew this.
That is correct. Why do you guess
we
that?
We tried to ignore it because
because I figured that they might have a lot of involvement with the CIA.
And we forgot that he is
now, the CIA has been predominantly run by Roman Catholics, and a high percentage of them have been members of the Jesuit Society.
The man on the right.
So, do you know who Jesuits are, Marianne?
Kind of, yes. I was raised Catholic, so I'm familiar with Jesuits.
And what can you tell me about Jesuits?
Well, they seem to be more liberal priests, I guess.
Russian mafia.
All right, so they are a male congregation in the Roman Catholic Church, as you know.
And
so what we're going to do is just read the Jesuit oath, okay?
Behind you in
so
New York,
we have you follow along.
Matter of fact.
It says,
I furthermore promise and declare that I will,
when opportunity presents, make and wage relentless war, secretly or openly, against all heretics.
I will hang, waste, boil, flay, strangle, and bury alive.
Rip up the stomachs and wombs of their women in order to annihilate forever their terrible race. So, Lucas, what are your thoughts on the Jesuit oath?
That should scare the hell out of
on that oath, I'm not too fond of the group. I haven't really looked into what else they claim to stand for, but kind of concerning to have a group, like you said, so involved in Central Intelligence and everything, and being so motivated by these values.
So what are your thoughts on the Jesuit oath?
The Jesuits are pretty bad people.
Trump and his beautiful wife are here now, and you are the honoree for tonight's Liberty Award, which is huge. And your daughter is about to present that award to you. You have made outstanding contributions in U.S.-Israeli relations. And Ivanka, I'd like you to come up and present that award to your father.
Donald Trump, please come up.
For his work and his assistance in the highest levels of this country's national security interests. He was speaking about Felix Sater.
The story is of Felix Sater and his rise to power. Born in the Soviet Union in 1966, Felix Sater immigrated with his family to Brighton Beach when he was 8 years old. At 24, he was a successful Wall Street broker. And at 27, he was in prison after a bloody bar fight. And at 32, he was accused of conspiring
to join a growing list
with
of magnates
the
buying a piece of the Holy Land.
I would absolutely love to build a tower in Israel.
Where?
I think Tel Aviv is a tremendous city. I think for a hotel, Jerusalem, but Jerusalem is a little bit challenging to find a site because it's the preservation and it's so built up.
Despite her very public upbringing and her family's assets, Ivanka insists she wasn't just a rich kid.
People often assume that at the age of 12 we were given a limitless credit card in which we could go buy the latest, Parisian fashions, and that's a funny concept to me because I think even today, I'm too cheap to do that. Now's the time to buy in the U.S. Prices are down. There's been a general plateau, but they're going to go right back up again. So now's something exactly.
I don't think I can afford it right now.
Well, you can because the shekel's never been so strong and the dollar's so weak.
And that's really my whole goal, is to expose Zionism, the synagogue of Satan, which the Bible reveals is mystery, Babylon the Great, mother of harlots.
Most of the Jews in Israel today, the Talmud Satan worshippers over there, are not real Jews. And people ask me, well, who's a Jew? Who are the real Jews? And you know what? It's so that doesn't even matter.
I want to thank my Jewish daughter.
Because the bloodline thing of Israel was demolished when the Lord died on the cross and rose again.
Next guest was used also in worshiping the devil, participated in human sacrifice rituals and cannibalism. She says her family has been involved in rituals for generations.
She became a Jew.
Now, what the?
You hear the disappointment.
I hear disappointment. Did you wear the first
guy? And it wouldn't matter. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But he's a great guy.
Did you wear a yarmulke, the Jewish hat, at the ceremony?
No.
Wow.